Let's rock and roll, boys.
Hey everyone, I'm Matt Schultz.
And I'm Andrew Watson.
And I'm Austin Cummings.
And thank you for tuning in yet again to another Nintendo podcast. Today,
Yes!
we're reacting to the E3 2018 Direct.
There it is. Awesome.
Was earlier this morning. Early for some of us, late for others. And we're all excited. We've got a lot to talk about. I think we're all just in the feels about all the things that we saw today. So
Yeah, I mean, before we go any further, though, I mean,
Yeah.
you say late for some of us, but I mean, don't disparage. 9 a.m. is still plenty early as far as I'm concerned. That is too early, and that is when we had it. And you 11, correct? And
11 o'clock, yeah.
so where was everyone when this hit, when our world was rocked?
I was in bed.
Andrew was in bed. Yeah, Andrew, what want to come clean in front of the live studio audience as to what you were doing today?
I was sick today, so I stayed home.
Oh no!
There it is.
That's a great.
I was.
He came down with a bad case of that old Nintendo
E3 flu.
hype.
Right.
Exactly.
It's really tough this year.
Going around strong. Okay, so Andrew, home. I tried to kind of watch it on the sly. Matt, yourself?
I was in a lot of meetings, but was able to get back to my own office. And watch it there.
Excellent.
Yeah,
What it's all about. Very good. Our priorities are all set for each one of us. That's what I like to hear.
One or two knocks on the door. I just did not answer.
He said,
but
"Sorry,
here we are.
Sorry, not now.
So,
we got Daisy in Smash."
Yes, we do.
Very
Before we move any more forward, we've got a quick fan check-in.
Oh.
Our only fan check-in. The fan check-in. King D. He lives.
He does.
He's
he
in
does.
the comments twice.
I know.
Hello, King D.
Two comments. It was very generous, King D.
We hope you enjoyed our predictions.
Yes, if he was able to
and the new
catch
voice
them
on the show.
before the actual direct went up, then commendable. Hats off to you, King D, if you're able to get that full helping of the show. It was really going to be tight.
Or you're waiting to just see how many we got wrong by doing it the reverse way.
Oh no, yeah, do not do that. We got to go scrub the episode, take it down, post a new one with all fake predictions. So King D, he said he had been waiting for this. Very kind of him. I believe he was referencing maybe the predictions podcast or just E3, in which case we're all waiting for it, and that's very good. And that besides EA being EA, that it's been an amazing show. So far, I would agree to that. It's been a good one.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, leading right into the Nintendo E3 Direct, it was I don't know, I was feeling pretty good about Nintendo, going right into it. And so before I guess we get started, let's just go ahead and run this down. Like, we're going to talk about the things that were mention the things and the games that were discussed, revealed, or shown what we were shown more of for the first time. We're gonna go down that list, talk about each one just briefly, and then we're gonna jump in to kind of what our show headliner, which is what we all know to be Smash.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about.
Sweet.
Now, before we go, let me just get a quick temperature reading of the water. Let me ask each one of you just kind of gut reaction, just right now. This is post E3. It's still Tuesday. What would you say if you had to give a letter grade to the E3 show? What would you give it?
The entire
Nintendo's
E3
E3 show.
Nintendo.
Just Nintendo.
Just
Okay.
the whole
We
thing.
don't talk about them.
I would give them probably a B+.
Okay, B+ from Matt. Andrew.
Yeah, I'd say B+ too.
Yeah, you know what? I would go. I'm going to really choose a controversial pick. I'm going to go A-. So really, we got to have a big range of enthusiasm here on the show. We're representing a lot of different opinions.
91% maybe.
And the 89.5, rounding up A-. No, I thought it was quite good, and I would say comparable to previous years. Do either of you have any thoughts on that, just kind of off the cuff?
I thought last year I just felt more excited, and I think overall I just think that there was more revealed for the first time, whereas I think this time around, overall I felt like I heard about everything or knew about everything ahead of time, and still I think aside from Ridley, like the biggest reveal or surprise was Star Fox, which was not even in Nintendo's presentation. So
I know, big.
So yeah,
he's
it was left wanting.
Corneria and Adventure. Agreed. That probably a little bit, maybe a little tepid. I felt like the announcements themselves however, were very strong. But yeah, there was not a ton to offer in the way of actual surprises. That kind of the big change.
No. But it was not a bad E3
No.
at all. I mean, it was solid, and I think it's just that the writing was on the wall the whole time about what their outlook for the rest of the year looks like. I think it was just laid out very well from this month to the games we're getting with Aces and some of the DLC that's coming out for Splatoon to what's now going to be our November and December games. I don't know. I just think that I wanted to believe there was something else that was going to be in that mix, and it's just not the truth.
Now they're crazy.
And that's okay.
They're crazy enough to kind of drop something out, throughout the week. I'm not totally writing it off. We're not necessarily in the clear. The Treehouse is just kind of finished up, and there was the competitions later in the day. But even in the competitions, as we'll get to, they've made some announcements, so things could still shift a little bit. But yeah, by and large, I would definitely agree to that. I know Andrew and I were talking, but my feeling is when you look at Nintendo for this conference versus Microsoft and Sony, so for our big three, the difference maker for those consoles is they have a lot of big third-party games that Nintendo, though it has more support, is still getting smaller titles for the most part. However, when it comes to exclusives, both Microsoft and Sony don't have a lot coming out this fall. And I think the Nintendo Direct format has served very well. Make the Direct and then have just a couple... 3 months look into the future. The goalpost is not that far off. Whereas for Sony and Microsoft, it's a lot of 2019 games. For Nintendo, it feels things that are fairly soon. And we know how frequently we've had directs as of late. Who's to say we might not have another direct in a week or a month? They've done similar things in the past for 3DS announcements that are very close to. I think they did that maybe even last year. Where it's like right after E3, it's like now there's a Nintendo Direct a week and a half later. Like, what are you guys doing? So there could still be that. So I think that also gives the perspective of it, and the level of polish we saw across everything there really put my enjoyment at a higher level. But I am with you. Core surprises not as many, but as far as things coming out this year, I think Nintendo, just like last year with Odyssey, looks like they're positioned pretty well.
Totally.
Well, great. That's the show.
All right, that's it. So, but let's talk about everything now, because there is a ton to talk about. So, and we're not going in any particular order, or at least, in order of what the show revealed. We're just going to kind of run down a list here. So, one of the big, I think, reveals that none of us had predicted was Super Mario Party.
Yes.
Which I'm very excited about. And,
I'm excited about it too.
I think what was so interesting about this, and this is coming out on October 5th, so we got a hard date there.
That's good. That's good.
I will be downloading this digitally. I want the digital copy. I want my board game, Mario board game, wherever I go. Now, what was really cool was the reveal of this was very reminiscent of the Switch commercials that we got.
Yeah, very much
a year or two ago.
A lot of very attractive people.
Yeah. Karen was not there.
Karen wasn't there, but she has she also has to work a job, and it's been. I would love to get kind of caught back up. Yeah, exactly. What is this Karen up to?
Right.
That would be a good little sim, a little walking simulator game on the Switch, just about Karen going social event.
Find cool places to play her Switch.
Right, exactly. She's on a rooftop. She's in the forest. Karen on a mountain.
They need a Karen persona to take over their Instagram account.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Just be Karen's got a hold of Nintendo's Instagram. See where she plays her Switch next.
Right, I know. And it's just everything's
in the corner of.
Right, I like that for sure. And so everything's just hey, I'm here, at a restaurant. It's not even that effusive. She's just kind of going about her day and she's gonna post about it. So
Mario Party, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of showed off something pretty cool, which they had two Switches next to each other, lying flat, the tablet in tablet mode. And lying down, and there was a mini game specifically that involved driving around these little tanks and shooting them off walls, and depending on how you set them up, you then swipe the two.
Okay, so
maybe
the people in that video also, they chose the wackiest angle to show this thing off at. So bad. They're we should make it a little harder, and it's a crazy angle between these switches that kind of made it hard to tell where the tanks are even going through.
Well, it was hard to tell what was happening at first, and then when they started playing the game, you could, because I watched it over again, and as soon as they swipe, right, the lines around both switches kind of solidify, except for the part where they're touching or where the
okay, actually connects. I didn't see that.
And so that when so when they started, they could ricochet projectiles off in a certain way. But it was weird. It was weird, but it was cool. Also, it was just really kind of messed up how every dude, every time, it's just like every time a female actress made a suggestion, like, no, let's do it this way. There's always a dude that's like, no, let's do it this way.
Right,
and then another one, and then finally the dude got the last stand. And I was like, all right, we get it. You can change it around. You guys really know how to play this particular minigame. But that was super cool to see, them working around that particular, I don't want to say gimmick, but like,
that
it was
concept.
cool to see them combine the two of those Switch consoles like that.
Yeah, it reminds me a bit of a few weeks ago we were talking about the fact that there was that patent for connecting screens, like touch screens together. And I gotta think maybe this is what they're referring to. Because at the time there was some speculation that maybe it was like a 3DS offshoot or some other type of touchscreen device. But,
right.
I mean, this is just like another example, kind of like with Labo, where it's like, I had no idea that this technology was in the Switch, right? Like, that it could sense another device that close, or would, it seems to be really flexible, the fact that they're able to use that strange angle to get it to work. So it's cool as like a proof of concept thing for sure. And it makes you wonder, like, what else can this thing do? When we talk about Street Pass and things like that for the 3DS, clearly these Switches are able to detect that they're next to one another. So interesting there. I thought that was exciting. Well, let me ask you both a question, Andrew. I'll start with you. What's the last Mario Party that you've played?
Oh, well, that I've actually played or liked, which.
Good question. Yeah. Well, I'll take one of both.
The last one that I actually liked, and I probably shouldn't, but it's the one with the microphone on GameCube.
Oh yes, I was thinking about this too. Right, the GameCube one with the microphone, very good. The Odama mic, the one where it's like ba-bomb,
There were like
flame.
secret codes.
4?
I think it was 4, or was it maybe 5?
I don't think 4 didn't have a mic. I think it was a little
6?
later.
It might
6 maybe.
6. It's either 6, but 2 is actually my favorite on the N64. That has the best mini games, and it looks like that's what this trailer really evoked for me, was like the nostalgia for all those really well designed, like simple mini games.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And
that's actually a really good point, because the
gimmicks or anything or like.
Yeah, watching it, they were all like very active mini games, which is I didn't think that, but like the fact where it's a lot of things are like, okay, you're flying through this grid of enemies, or you're like bicycling, or things are just like very involved. Where I do feel like a lot of the later Mario parties, a lot of them were just like hit a counter and it's like hope it doesn't. Hope the bomb doesn't go off, or just like mash A. And I'm sure there'll still be like a lot of that, frankly. But I am with you. The games looked like immediately like, fun and involved, and I liked that.
Yeah.
I like that it's called Super Mario Party.
Yeah, because it's like shameful at this point to be like 11 or 12 or whatever they're at. I played the Wii U version. I did get that. I don't know if either of you played
10.
that one. 10.
Yeah, I played 10. That was the last one I played.
So I played it too.
I was so excited to just get a Mario Party game.
Right.
I just really wanted one on that console.
And it had that one kind of cool mode where you'd play as Bowser on the gamepad and everyone else would be like running from you. So that was, I liked how they did that. Again, Wii U getting a shout out on this podcast. This is every episode. But the other thing about that is, now this is a hot take, but I am personally, and I'm sorry to say it because I know nobody else really feels this way, back me up if you do, I kind of liked the car where everyone moves in tandem, and I don't think a lot of people do.
Is that the one where you were like buying like properties, or I forget what?
That's Fortune Street.
That's actually a Game of Life.
Game of Life. You're familiar with this? You're familiar with Monopoly? The boardwalk.
There was one that had you like driving around the street and you'd stop in front of like a building and.
Yes, Fortune Street has this, which is a Dragon Quest crossover for the Wii. But this game is. But the most recent Mario parties have had on the board, you roll one die and the whole team moves in tandem. So people do not individually move across the board. So people hate that in general because they want to be able to take this path or like try to cut someone off or go get the star in this direction. So I do respect that. But the nice thing about the car is that it just moves the game much more quickly because you do one die roll, then you're into the next mini game opposed to like 4. Watching the CPU make their roll and turn and everything. But in any event, this seems like a return to form. It would definitely be in Nintendo's best interest to go ahead and make it the individual units because people really do,
So it was
prefer
Koopa's
that.
Tycoon Town. I'm sorry, I had to look it up.
What did you look up?
It was called Koopa's Tycoon Town. Was one of the boards in Mario Party 8.
Oh, it was on every listener's mind. What is the name of that one Koopa board?
To attain a star on this board, players must invest coins in hotels. This is similar
I see,
to both Koopa's Seaside Soiree from Mario Party 4 and the Windmillville from 7. Interesting.
Yeah,
and there was a car in this one.
Yeah, and for the trying to look up. Okay, so Mario Party 6 had the microphone, and that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
But for Fortune Street, which is the Mario Party spinoff, that one's all about like kind of predicting an economy and writing that out and everything like that. So they've had some more experimental. This looks like a very traditional game.
Yeah, I'm excited for just a more like you said, traditional Mario Party game. I think like I love it because for the first time in a long time, I'm like, oh, of course I got to get that game because it's the first one on Switch. It's the first one on Switch. You know, I've been wavering back and forth with Pokemon because the first Pokemon came on Switch.
Oh, you'll do it. You'll break. They all do. In the end.
I will.
I think I'm going to break.
I want that Pokeball. I don't want to use it, but I just want it.
Oh my gosh, I'm definitely. And are you getting that Pokeball Plus?
I watched the Treehouse Live, and I think I'm convinced I might get the Let's Go.
Listen, I like the idea that both you boys are so strong that you weren't automatically planning on doing this. But the minute that thing gets announced,
it's just so casual, and then
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Well, did I check out Pokemon Quest, the ultimate casual play itself game? Yes, I did. So the bar is very low, boys.
Yes, it is. The bar is very low.
The bar is very low. Welcome to another Nintendo podcast.
So Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is getting more DLC.
Awesome.
So that's exciting. At first, when the trailer hit, it was kind of hard to kind of figure out what it was.
It was.
I couldn't tell if it was its own thing or
right. And we had Ys, the Y, spelled YS, announced a little bit ago. They look very similar. I thought it was that for a while.
Right.
But
so it's called Torna: The Golden Country.
Right. Beautiful.
I can tell you what it's about.
So I don't think anyone could. I can tell. Well, I can tell you a little in that I did play Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Not a ton. I beat the first one, but I did not play a ton of this game. But it seems to be focusing around two characters, two of the other drivers, which are kind of the class of hero in this game, that are kind of adversaries early on in Xenoblade. So maybe this is a side story about how they met. And what their mission was, because when you're introduced to them in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, they're already pursuing Pyra, which is the red-haired gal, who is also somewhat featured in this trailer. So I don't know if it's going to be something like that. It looks like the UI is different. I just will say this. As someone who wasn't super into the sequel as much so as the first game, it is really impressive the amount of support this game has gotten, and the fact that Nintendo really does clearly value this game very highly. So There's been, the outfit appeared in Breath of the Wild, Rex's outfit from the game, and there's been a bunch of DLC as part of that season pass, which is cool. And there's been like a new game plus, and there's been a harder difficulty added.
A lot of the soft folks, right? They've supported Nintendo on all kinds of other projects.
Right. They helped with.
That's what I remember reading.
Right, with Breath of the Wild. So they have a really strong relationship. I like to see that they're continuing to promote these characters. Also, all the characters in this game are just like really thirsty. Like all of the female art is like
I can tell. I feel like
very upsetting, and not a fan of it. Not classy like Twintel or Gal. Thirstel, but so Thicktel, but so this one instead, it's like everyone's just like the proportions are not right. And I'm sorry to bring it up. I'm sorry, Mother. I know you're listening, and I know this is upsetting. But like I do wish they kind of scale that back or rein it in a little. But everything else about it is exciting, and it's fun to have a big Nintendo core JRPG, which we really have not had for basically forever, except for the Operation Rainfall games when they came to the Wii. So that's kind of my little soapbox for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So thank you for humoring it.
Andrew, anything to add about this, or should we move on?
No, yeah, I've never played a Xenoblade Chronicles game, so.
No,
not game, if you will.
But I think we've all played a Fire Emblem game, right?
Yes.
Well, I've played as a great many of them in Smash.
Not in 2018. So spring of 2019, we will get Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Right. Feet are confirmed.
Mm-hmm. Confirmed feet.
There are lots of feet in this game.
Good to see. Big foot person myself. Sorry, Mom.
So,
but for the sake of go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, so. Fire Emblem, and like we talked about in our last episode, Awakening really brought a lot of the people back into the franchise, and this game seems to kind of bring back a lot of the continue on with some like the aesthetic of that game, while also kind of bringing it into I wouldn't want to say a new era, because we've talked before about the both the GameCube and Wii having Fire Emblem games that kind of look very similar to what this game looks like in terms of its not top down, but slightly angled, three-dimensional look.
Yeah.
There's also seems to be like just lots of armies everywhere around, and you're like you're kind of like being
definitely. And Andrew, we haven't talked to you about this as much, but would you say you are a Fire Emblem person or more of an Advanced War individual?
I'm definitely an Advanced War individual, but
nice.
I did start playing the mobile Fire Emblem game, and I got into that probably more than
I've been hearing that kind of more and more by even friends who are not that into Fire Emblem, who actually will text me and they're like, hey, have you checked this thing out? Which I think is surprising always and pretty cool. But what this trailer struck me as is kind of like you're saying, Matt, there's like the big maps, big scenarios. There's like tons of people on the field. It had kind of a look a little bit like Advanced Wars, in that you attack a unit and there'd be tons of swordsmen, kind of like the tons of infantry units.
It seemed a little confusing at first because it kind of looks like
tons of archers.
Warriors.
Yeah, there was just like a kind of the number of people look like warriors, the Musou game, but the fact that like you'd have all these units makes me think, are there possibly units in this game where you have a swordsman, but as opposed to being like a specific character, there's like, it's just like a troop of swordsmen, and they're expendable within the match, but they can die.
That was similar to the Advance Wars in that way that like, you could see some of them perishing and disappearing
for sure, and that was how that represented their health. When a bunch of tanks would get taken out, if your single tank unit might have 10 tanks. So I wonder if that might be a thing. And there's also exploration, which is cool to see the character run around the town, and that is fun. I feel like I really like the characters from Fire Emblem, even though they're fairly samey, but I do love them. But you're not able to do a lot with them outside of the kind of chess-like main game. So it's neat to have a chance to run around a town or a village or recruit people by controlling your character. That I feel like that'll help a lot of people who might not be into the game on its own merits, typically might be interested in having a little more of because there's all these great romance options and conversations in these games, and then you could also enjoy that part of the game in addition to the actual turn-based strategy.
I'm excited for it. I'm sure we're gonna get a big direct or two on this game as we, I don't know that it's going to be this year, probably just after the holiday. I expect we'll see a lot of this. But
let me ask you this.
Sure.
For both of you.
Ask away.
Here we go. The ANP asking time. You're in the hot seat here in the ANP. So gotta think fast if you're ready for this one, boys. Okay, so for the Switch so far, we have never had a game that's been really delayed, right? Everything's come out. Breath of the Wild was the first thing. It had been delayed many times, but by the time it was announced for the Switch, didn't miss the mark. Mario didn't miss it. Kirby didn't miss it. ARMS, etc. So for Fire Emblem, it's a 2019 game. They previously said 2018, but it wasn't super firmly announced apart from it's going to happen. So are we counting this as a strike against the Big N for the number one delay for the Switch, or is it an edge case? We're not counting it.
I mean, technically, yeah, it does count. They said 2018. They said 2018.
Matt's angry. Reasonably so. Okay. Andrew, thoughts?
Yeah,
you're going to strike against him?
Yeah. Nope. That's
all right. Well, I feel some degree of...
we're just on the same wavelength.
Right. A couple Advanced Wars boys. Well, those of us for Fire Emblem, we fight with our hearts, and we know it's okay if it's delayed. Not a big deal. We're just happy when it comes around. For many a waifu in that game. Sorry, Mom. Okay, so good things there. I want to bring up one last thing. So it's 3 houses is the subtitle, right? And I had read that there's going to be multiple campaign characters centered around.
Oh, okay.
For the game, so it's going to focus around 3. I want to put a word of caution out there for everyone listening. For Bill Trenton, for Reggie Fils-Aimé, Mr. Miyamoto, all 3 people not associated with this game, I'm sure at all. The Fire Emblem Fates, the last one on 3DS, the last new game for 3DS, I should say. I did enjoy it, but the 2 split campaign thing did not work very well for me. It felt very rote to revisit like a very similar campaign element with a different character. The same, basically doing the same thing twice for Birthright and for Conquest. So I just want to say for 3 houses, I really hope the 3 characters thing is like totally fine as long as the story is always moving forward. It's going to be a bummer if you have to take, let's say, the female character or whomever after you've already visited with the male character like in this town, and then be like, oh, now go back with that character and get new relationships or whatever going. It didn't do much for me for Fates, and I hope this doesn't always become a big trend. I felt like it worked fairly well for Shadow of Valencia, but even that had some of the same issues where it was like, I feel like I've already visited this location with this other team, and it's not quite as interesting to do it twice. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. That's a word of caution. Just want to put that out there. It was important to me.
Well, I'm looking forward to Fire Emblem. I think we all are. I think I'm happy for Intelligent Systems to put this game behind them so they can start working on an Advanced Wars Switch. It's got to happen, especially, I'm sorry, sidebar.
Wargroove? You going to talk about Wargroove here in a second?
When Wargroove comes out.
Oh, my God.
I think they're gonna see more people buy it on the Switch than on Xbox. Oh, by the way, it was really funny because Xbox tweeted out, and they tweeted at Wargroove. They're like, "Hey, the line's open. Like, come play Wargroove." Which it was completely not at PAX, by the way. It was just around the block, and because those types of games, you can't just like, play 2 rounds. People get really into them and sitting there. So, anyways, it's coming. I'm glad that. Hopefully Intelligent Systems is ramping down, their development on this.
Right. Yeah, maybe.
Anyways, okay, buddy. So our next game, it involves a bus. The bus flies, and that's it. It's a school bus.
And Magic School Bus. Yes. You're hopping on there. There's
Fortnite. It's coming to Switch. It's out today. I know a lot of people are hopping on right now. And Andrew, you said you just picked it up, right?
Yeah. I downloaded it. Earlier today when it went live, tried to play it on the Switch and was unfortunately denied access. But I basically couldn't download my anything that I had accomplished on my PS4 account.
Yes, and so we were chatting about that. So this is similar. Sony is kind of a hard line in the sand of not playing with the other consoles, like Rocket League for forever. Maybe it's changing, but you can play crossplay like Xbox, PC, and Switch, but not with anyone on PS4. I guess PS4 has been the hot seller this generation. I think they don't feel a need to, extend a hand to these other consoles. I do hope though that will be possible, or through Epic, or through a PC account, or something. There'd be some way to link it, because that's the fun of. Of Fortnite is like this progression, and you buy a season pass. Andrew, do you want to talk a little bit on Fortnite, because you're kind of the Fortnite dude amongst the three of us?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Tell me how it works in terms of even just paying for it, because I'm reading that the Battle Royale mode is free and it's free everywhere.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
The Battle Royale mode is free. It's really the cosmetics is where most of the people spend their money.
Mm-hmm.
But
because there is a second mode.
There is a second mode. It's like a campaign mode. I've never really touched that, to be honest. Because that's like $40, and that's...
Yeah, nobody does.
Yeah, nobody really plays that. But the Battle Royale is really cool, because you can basically pay $10 for this thing called the Season Pass, and that gives you a whole bunch of like unlockable stuff to work towards, which are like cosmetic items like skins or taunts.
Emotes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Emotes.
Dank dabs and the like.
Yeah. Everything you want, basically, to stay up to date.
The trailer, sorry to interrupt, the trailer was really very reminiscent of Splatoon when they first showed off Splatoon 2. Just that it was colorful, and you have all the Inklings dancing, which, by the way, why can't we do that? Why can't I dance over
why can they only booyah and oh no or whatever,
All those dance moves were really fun that they were doing in the lobby area, so seeing that on Fortnite in the trailer was fun.
Yeah, like what Andrew was saying with the...
Good. Definitely.
Yeah, with the pass, what's so cool about it is that, like, if you just play the game normally, you're making progress, but then you don't get the cosmetics until you buy the pass, or you buy the pass from the outright, and you kind of get some perks to expedite the way in which you kind of level up just by playing, and there's little challenges. But what is great about the concept for me for Switch is everyone's already playing Fortnite, right? People are already always thinking PC all the time. It's the hot game. It's the new, Minecraft, and I'm sure, people are very familiar with that aspect, but the portability of the Switch version, of course, is what would make it exciting to have the tactile controls on the go. The game is already on mobile, which is cool, but then you need a data plan to do it. I'm sure a lot of kids don't have that. And, of course, you need a smartphone, and kids might have a hand-me-down or what have you, but then they're still going to be limited to Wi-Fi, and this will definitely be a more comfortable way to play it, but you want to be able to take that progress from the main game, so hopefully, especially in the case of Sony, it'll be doable imminently. Mm-hmm. Did you guys see the thing also that there's going to be a voice chat option through the headphone jack? Did you hear about that?
I did not hear about that for Fortnite.
Yeah, so it's on Kotaku, and apparently on Thursday there's going to be voice chat through the Switch, through the headphone jack of the Switch. So not even the app. So it's totally possible.
So Nintendo's just.
I guess
messing with us.
I think we got pranked, boys. I think take your Switch, throw it out the window. The thing is trash. You can't trust it. Turn off the IR camera. Put a sticker over it.
Get the Game Gears out again.
Get your Game Gear out.
Put a sticker over the IR camera.
Because maybe they're just using the phone app makes you start to think only for like the inviting and the messaging that is not possible in the Switch UI. So maybe that's why the phone app exists, and it's not because of the talking portion of it exclusively. So interesting. Apparently Thursday that's coming out, or I'm very wrong, and King D will correct us. But yeah, kind of an interesting thing. I'll send you guys the link.
So, okay, moving on from Fortnite. Hollow Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Knight as in a knight in shining armor.
Thank you. Not NITE.
Out today. And now this is a game that a lot of people were waiting to hear about a release date for.
Right. Myself.
So it's great. It's out right now. It's $16, $15, something around there.
Yeah, it's 15. It's a Metroidvania. I already downloaded it, and looking forward to playing it.
And beat it. Awesome.
And I've already beat it. Playing it now. Reaching the final level. Got 100%. But the
Playthrough Plus.
Playthrough Plus, exactly. We have a New Game Plus over here, so ask me any questions.
New Game Plus,
but I was looking forward to this game for a long time, and I love Metroidvania style games, and by all accounts, it's a great indie title, and so I'm excited that it finally happened. It's fun to have those and it's out today, so that's always exciting.
Right.
Okay, what's next, Matt?
Which we got a lot of. Okay, so before we dive into kind of the meat of the presentation, which we all know is Smash,
right,
and some Splatoon news.
There it is,
got it. We had some sizzle reeling.
Mm-hmm.
We got Killer Queen Black, which was definitely expected. The company that puts that. Has anyone played this arcade?
Oh yeah.
Or every time I try to play, I can't get to the front because, I mean, the arcade bars that we go to are just so packed around this game. So you just watch from afar.
Absolutely
are you excited?
Yeah, Andrew, what are your thoughts?
I love that game. I've only played it a handful of times, but luckily our barcade, or whenever we go, is usually too hot and sweaty for people to go. So
that's a barcade guarantee. Ground control, baby. Portland, Oregon. See you there.
But no, it's really fun. They have a huge 50-inch screen that you play on, and it's I forget how many players. Is it 8 or?
I think it's 8.
Yeah, you get 4.
Confirm?
It's two-sided. That's right. It's a two-sided arcade.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a massive machine, and a lot of bars usually have it projected for the audience.
Interesting.
Aside from the
two
string. Oh, the two places I've seen it have had projections so that the crowds can come in. And the one bar I went to actually pretty recently had a team with jerseys show up.
Oh my god! You got sport boys in there. Get them out of there.
So do you see yourself playing this on Switch and enjoying it online? Do you see I don't know, a big following around the Switch version of this particularly?
I could totally see it. It reminds me a lot of, the gameplay reminds me of Towerfall Ascension. If you guys ever played that.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's really fluid. It's just it's a nice platformer competitive game.
Yeah.
I think it'll do really well.
Yeah, that's dead on. It has also a fun resource collecting element to it too. So it in kind of a fun way, kind of like the something I've always enjoyed of the Battlefield games or whatever is if you aren't that competitive as far as the actual assault class, you can play a support role, and there's a mini element of that in Killer Queen, in that you can collect the whatever honeycomb-ish things for the hive or yada yada. So there's other ways to help. It plays like Towerfall, kind of like Joust back on the there's arcade couch of that early Nintendo game. And
queens are going at each other, or catch the Killer Queen. Yep.
Right, kind of knocking each other down from hitting from above. So it's fun. That could be definitely, especially if it's priced right. I think that's the thing for me. So if it's if the game's gonna be $10, which I think would be appropriate, then that could be a perfect use of the Switch.
Right, and I wonder if it's if it catches on in the arcade community. And they're hey, when you're not playing in the off season, you're on your Switch. I wonder if it'll bring more people to the arcade game, or vice versa.
Right.
If it's a good way to train, who knows?
Yeah, good point.
But for someone like me who has seen it and was confused, playing it in my hands alone or playing it online is a little easier for folks like me to get into a game like this. So I think it's fun. I'm glad they brought it to the Switch.
Yeah, for sure.
So Overcooked 2, which I'm super pumped about,
right?
Which we chatted about. Again, another game we knew about. So that's coming out on Switch.
It was a leak. It was a leak piece of information. Yeah.
What was it? Okay.
Yeah, so we shouldn't have known. And that's also a theme of the C3. I think a lot of things feel a little underwhelming, but so much of it has been, the leaks, whether it be Assassin's Creed Odyssey or Rage 2 or Overcooked 2.
Right.
Like, a lot of things
they took. So for these two games, Killer Queen and Overcooked, right?
Yeah.
Reggie specifically went out of his way to be like, we have two games to show you that have not been revealed before. We've never talked about before.
Except for the piece of paper you've all seen. Here it is.
that I left out on my desk. But it was interesting that these were the two indie games that they decided to highlight, which is great. I feel like there are a lot of indie games coming to the Switch, and I think that there is going to be an inevitable indie presentation in a month or two. I think we're going to see a lot more stuff come out between now and the end of the year. But it's just interesting that I could see why Overcooked 2 was, and why they wanted to highlight that studio, because Overcooked was kind of just blew up on the Switch.
Right.
So it's great to see it coming out with a second game. And did you see the gameplay? It looked really polished.
Yeah, it looked really good.
A much more robust version.
Yeah, the Switch version of Overcooked 1 had some issues out of the gate. There was like some lag and issues there. I don't know if you guys recall that, but eventually they patched it. But hopefully that footage is indicative of the Switch version because it looked really good.
Did you guys see the Treehouse play him?
No.
Oh no, I didn't.
Oh, it was funny. It was so funny. There was just the developers on the set that were just, I don't know, their voices were a little annoying and they were just barking at each other and you were like, oh, this is awkward. I think
I don't want to see them fight.
Right, like you're on a live stream right now.
Yeah. Get along.
And it was funny seeing like the Nintendo employees try to like kind of mitigate it.
Oh no!
It wasn't that bad.
It sounds very bad.
I was cringing watching it.
Yeah, I will say also like on the stream I watched most of the Pokemon Let's Go stuff, and although I'm excited for the game and we can talk about it more another time, like just watching people catch Pokemon for as long as they did, not particularly interesting to me. I think everyone knows that Pokemon Go works. And so it was like, oh, they're going to do an underhand throw, or like, oh, we're using a berry. It's just like, okay.
Did you see that woman missing? Like,
oh yes, when there was like an oddish and the ball goes like 45-degree angle to the right, just way.
It was just because she was frisbeeing it. She wasn't like doing what it.
Well,
she wasn't overhanding it, but she didn't feel like she really could because she's kind of in a cramped space.
Right.
But she's just kind of flicking food to the birds.
I'd be so nervous.
The ball went left or right.
I know, I love that. That would be like a nightmare scenario for me, somewhat. Be like, oh, I gotta like demo this Pokemon game for the many thousands of viewers who are watching it, just whiffing all these Pokeballs, the shame.
Did you see?
It was also weird because it was brought up that she had never played. She brought it up actually that she had never played Pokemon outside of I think Yellow, Red, and Blue, and she was like telling the Pokemon developers like, as a Nintendo employee, I thought that was interesting that they chose that an individual who hadn't played before to play to be the person demoing.
I'm sure that's like the thought is like it appeals to more people, but for me it was like I wanted to see the learned moves and that was cool, and there's leveling up and everything that looks more traditional, so that was actually really nice to see. Those elements, and they're cool to see the SNES, like the 16-bit, like fire red, leaf green icons for a lot of the Pokemons. That was neat. Andrew, you were going to say something a moment ago. What was that?
The battling actually looks pretty like it's a classic battle,
Yeah, it looks like
trainer battles at least. You don't battle the wild Pokemon, which is kind of weird.
Right, but catching them levels up your Pokemon.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm with you. It was nice to see the trainer stuff.
Yeah. It looks great. It looks beautiful. I really can't wait for the quote unquote core Pokemon RPG to be released. I really hope that it looks like this. But yeah, I'm still teetering. But anyways, Overcooked 2. Super excited it's coming.
Very good. Right.
And soon.
So we got this
August.
So we got the what was this mech game called?
Oh yeah.
Also Daemon Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Ex Machina, Daemon,
like the
Daemon.
Demon, yeah, it's like a Lucifer type demon thing.
Spelled dramatically.
What do y'all think of it? starting off the E3 direct with
like the butt rock demon thing.
Right. And I'm like, what is this? And we saw Microsoft, start their conference with Halo. We saw Ubisoft start with Beyond Good and Evil 2. Like, there was just some major announcements that came in the very first visual that you saw, and so I was just like, oh gosh, what is this? Yeah, is this a new IP that I've something new? Right, and it was new, but it's not a Nintendo.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know. Andrew, do you have any thoughts on this one? The robot thing.
It kind of looked cool to me, honestly. I couldn't tell if it's like on rails or if it's sort of like a mech battle game. But either way, it kind of looked exciting to me, but the music was a little bit much, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like a little bit like Metal Gear Solid Rising, Revengeance, which was the Raiden slasher platinum game that came out a few years ago on 360 and PS3, where it's like you're jumping from robot to robot, you're slashing them up. It's like, in that game you are a humanoid, you're a human character, but like the same idea with like the really intense music and really frantic action and things exploding. It does look cool. Glad to see it. I was glad. So when I saw it initially, I was like, oh, I don't know what this thing is. Might this be some type of property I'm already familiar with? Wouldn't that be kind of cool if these robots were like from Metal Gear or something like that? Although I will say, like, after the fact, especially with the big Smash announcement at the end, which we haven't gotten to, like when I went back and rewatched this portion of the Direct, I was kind of glad it was like a unique IP, because it really is one of the few things that was, I think, kind of a surprise, and no one was asking for this per se in this Direct. And a thought of mine, I don't know how you guys feel, but is if you guys maybe want to finish this episode kind of soon and just kind of recap all this stuff and maybe do Smash separately to talk a little more about that on its own, because I know we are kind of getting a little long. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, we could do that. Absolutely.
But the kind of my thought is just to kind of put a little bit of an end cap on it, is that the Direct felt like a lot of safe overall bets, like you both have already expressed, the things we knew going in, and really, except for Mario, then little things like this one, it didn't feel like we had a ton of surprises, but the things were overall pretty solid. I do hope, though, that there is, as much fun as it is to see all the Nintendo characters in Smash, or DLC for other games, or totally fun to see Donkey Kong and Star Fox and the Ubisoft stuff, which we talked about on our predictions podcast. It does make me feel a level of, I hope there are new Nintendo IP that start happening.
Yep.
Only because, revisiting the well is fun and exciting and incentivizes you to check it out, right? If there were that Kid Icarus party game that I had predicted randomly, it did not happen. But if that had happened, I'd be interested, because I'm like, oh, I know Pit. But it would also be nice, and the same way for Splatoon for the Wii U, and I would like to see them double down a little more on ARMS, and hopefully those characters are involved in Smash in some way.
Yeah,
but to get more Nintendo IP, I know. Well, we'll talk about that in a second. But to get more Nintendo IP going for the Switch would be really nice.
Yeah, something that can call its home Switch.
Right.
And we do have, like you just mentioned, the ARMS characters, but again, it was that the void of just not having a new announcement, just something just like, I remember when I saw Splatoon for the first time, and I was just like, okay, like they really had to kind of sell people on it, but it was this funky new thing, and I just kind of missed that, like, oh, I'm really into this, because now, I'll say this right now, my most anticipated game from the conference is Starlink. I think that it looks beautiful, and I want to play, I want to fly around, and I don't know, I want to be in an off-rails Star Fox game.
Right.
And
it's different
that
enough.
looks good.
Yeah.
Right. And they actually have the privilege of not really being a Nintendo published game, right? So developed game, so if it is not great, I don't know, my expectations are a little damper because it's not an official Star Fox game, so I'm not going to ream on it, but that to me has me so pumped because it's new, and I think that's my only gripe about this particular Direct.
Right, I'd say that's fair too. Andrew, what's your kind of most anticipated thing out of what we've talked about? Kind of putting an end cap on the non-Smash news of the day.
I'm actually super excited for Mario Party, honestly. Just I love those
great
party
point.
games. You can just have a bunch of people like play, have some
For
drinks,
Yeah, especially for the Switch. I mean, it's such like an obvious co-op and play with other people platform, but I don't feel like there are that many games that are really like must-play couch co-op games on it.
Yeah,
Snipper Clips,
like Overcooked. Yeah, there's
Overcooked. But yeah,
Snipper Clips, as I say, I kind of go back and forth between Snipper Clips, Tetris, and Overcooked.
Yeah, and Mario Kart, yeah, definitely. But the overall, like having and something like that, I think will go a long way for the whole core concept of the Switch.
Yeah.
Right. But overall, I think we're all agreeing it was a solid direct. And we have a lot to look forward to. And I think so. I just want to run down this list really quick. This is Nintendo's published and developed games coming out between now and the end of the year.
Okay.
In June, we have quite a lot. We've got Sushi Striker. We got Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion DLC, which is out tomorrow.
Tomorrow they announced with Amiibo coming soon.
With the Amiibo.
My wallet.
I know. Mario Tennis Aces, which we know is coming June 22nd. Which have you all about it? I bought it already. I'm sitting on my Switch and just waiting to be unlocked, I guess.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, and that's gonna be real fun. And in the same month, we have the Mario Rabbids Donkey Kong Adventure. That's a ton of stuff coming out just in June. In July, all we have as of right now is the Captain Toad Treasure Tracker game.
Remake.
August, we have nothing specifically from Nintendo.
Or Overcooked, I guess. Comes out in August.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess we at least have that. Not specific, but still something.
Right.
Nintendo.
Okami HD is coming out in August as well.
Yeah.
There's stuff to really look forward to, but as far as Nintendo goes, there's a bit of a gap until we get to November, which is their Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and then finally December with the Smash release. So I would say from July to November, there's at the moment a gap in releases, except. What was the big October one? What was that?
That's Mario Party.
Mario Party.
Right.
There you go.
And then in December we'll have Smash. So there's a couple of things, and I still think more exclusive than the other consoles, which is really just Spidey for Sony. But as far as exclusives go, but yes, I am with you.
They're ending this year on 2 knockout franchises for them,
right?
And it's definitely going to move Switches off shelves, and to me it makes sense because. And we can talk about this in another podcast, but the games that weren't there that we know are coming include Bayonetta 3, Metroid Prime 4, the new Fire Emblem game we know is on its way. The new Yoshi game is officially stated that it's coming out in 2019 on the Nintendo website.
Okay. R.I.P.
And of course that could change, but and the core Pokemon RPG we know coming out in 2019.
Yeah.
And so that leaves a lot of room for the Animal Crossings of the world,
right.
For the Star Foxes of the world. Maybe Luigi's gonna get his own spin-off game at some point. Like the Pikmin 4. Like there's a lot that can happen next year.
And I think also not to count out the directs, the way in which they've been happening. Right, a direct could happen any moment that announces something else that comes out in the fall. So unlike the other platforms, there's many more opportunities to make these announcements. So I think. We got to take the direct as just one example of that, but there may be many, many more before 2018 is done.
Yeah. Yep. I'm excited.
So everyone just chill. Everyone just chill about it. Stay fun about it. It's all good.
Just relax.
So what's everyone going to play this weekend then?
I'm going to play Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight for sure. That's going to be my game, or I'm looking forward to kicking that one, getting that going. Andy, any thoughts?
I wish Mario Tennis Aces came out this weekend.
I know.
I'll
so
probably
close.
try and beat Overcooked before that sequel comes out.
Good for you, valiant effort. Matt, thoughts?
I'm gonna try to 100% Splatoon tonight. The single player campaign.
Yes, good. I did do that. I got all my little salmon tokens and the maps or the lore.
I can't boot up Octo Expansion before I got all those scrolls. So.
Awesome, and coming out tomorrow on the 13th. Okay, well, very cool. Well, should we do that? Kind of wrap this one up as our episode 6, and then take it away, Smash one separately.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay, and as listeners know, every episode ends in a song, and for this one, let's still go ahead and do the Super Smash Bros. Brawl song, which, if you don't recall, there's a YouTube link in our thing you can really quickly put up and try not to play over your mic, and then maybe the next one we'll do a different Smash iteration that Matt prefers, but for this one, it goes a little something like this. And just jump in when you can, or not at all, and just cut this audio and don't let anyone hear it.
Lead us away. I just usually laugh during this part.